When I escaped from the Shun family, I was deathly pale. With a broken leg, I was thrown brutally by bodyguards at the gate. It was desolate all around, and the massive Shun family estate behind me was like a coiled venomous snake ready to strike and devour me at any moment. Cold sweat streamed down my forehead like a small stream, and my vision blurred. I endured the excruciating pain and frantically called Lu Ling. He had said he would send someone to pick me up. However, after making over a dozen calls, my heart gradually sank to the bottom. The line was busy the entire time. A ridiculous thought suddenly popped into my head. Could it be Lu Ling blacklisted me? In the last second before I fainted, I inexplicably remembered that night not long ago, when Lu Ling leaned lazily against my headboard after it was over. I was already about to go to sleep when a drunk Lu Ling suddenly barged into my house. I helped the incoherent Lu Ling onto the sofa, intending to call his girlfriend to come pick him up. He already had someone he liked. Even though he knew that I had been ambiguous with Lu Ling in the past, since he officially announced his girlfriend on social media, we had tacitly and knowingly returned to a platonic friendship. I didn't want to cross the line again, but just as I picked up my phone, I was caught off guard and pinned down on the sofa by Lu Ling. The man's strength was immense. Before I could react, a scorching kiss swept over me like a storm. 8 years of daily companionship, 3 years of sharing a bed. Lu Ling knew my body better than anyone else. Afterward, Lu Ling leaned against the headboard and lazily lit a cigarette. I frowned slightly. Over the years, I had never liked the smell of cigarettes on Lu Ling. I had told him many times, but he continued to do as he pleased. But since he got this young girlfriend, I hadn't seen him smoke in a long time. A tinge of bitterness welled up in my heart, for some unknown reason. But for some reason there was also a hint of secret joy, perhaps because I realized that Lu Ling wasn't really drunk. Did this mean that Lu Ling wanted to get back together with me? Were he and Lin Yi just trying to make me jealous, as I had suspected, and they weren't actually together? Under Lu Ling's subtle gaze, I dressed in embarrassment, my throat hoarse, but I pretended to be nonchalant and asked him, "You aren't drunk. Why did you come here? What are you doing? Let go." Lu Ling secretly stepped on the strap of my bra, looking at me with a teasing smile. Amused by my embarrassed and annoyed appearance, Lu Ling chuckled lightly and slowly said, "Nanyu, why have you been avoiding me lately?" My expression froze slightly. Why? I didn't believe Lu Ling didn't understand. He was just playing dumb. I stiffly pursed my lips and didn't answer Lu Ling. The atmosphere became stagnant for a moment. The smile on Lu Ling's face slowly faded, and he leaned over, pinched my chin, and said in a cold voice, "Nanyu, haven't I told you before, between us, if I don't say stop, you can never stop?" My cheeks ached from his pinching, and I couldn't help but test him. "What about your girlfriend? Aren't you afraid she'll be sad if she finds out?" Lu Ling looked at me for a long time. He must have thought of something, and a playful smile suddenly appeared on his lips. He said in a light tone, "Then don't let her know. Nanyu, she's different from you. She's stubborn and delicate, and I can't bear to touch her, let alone upset her." As he spoke, Lu Ling grinned and pulled my arm. "Nanyu, let's do it again. I'm about to burst." He leaned over with a wicked smile, tearing at my clothes, his hands wandering everywhere, while still speaking with glibness. "Before I marry Yi, I'll give all my public grain to you, Nanyu. Am I good to you?" In that instant, I felt like all the blood in my body was flowing backward. It was chilling to the bone. The coldness eventually transformed into a great surge of anger. Coming to my senses, I was horrified to discover that, in the struggle, I had actually slapped Lu Ling hard. The slap was very heavy, and a bright red handprint quickly appeared on Lu Ling's fair cheek. Lu Ling's expression quickly darkened under the handprint. He propped his cheek with his tongue, and asked me in a voice devoid of any emotion, "What does that mean, Nanyu?" I calmed myself and answered in a trembling voice, "I don't want to, Lu Ling. You have a girlfriend. Let's break up for good." After I finished speaking, I didn't dare to look at Lu Ling's expression and quickly tidied my clothes. At that moment, I desperately wanted to escape from there. However, the next second, I heard Lu Ling's cold voice. "You go take the blame for offending Miss Shen. I'll send you to the Shun family to apologize tomorrow. Lu Ling threw the bra in his hand at my face expressionlessly, suddenly stood up, and left me with a cold back view. Nanyu, you have to remember, you don't have the right to be cheap with me. After waking up in the hospital, a nurse told me that a kind stranger had brought me in. Knowing about my leg, she even hired a professional caregiver for me. For a long time afterward, I stayed quietly in the hospital to recover, no longer trying to contact Lu Ling. Occasionally, I would reflect on how Lu Ling and I had reached this point. I still remember the first day I entered the Lu family at 15. Lu Ling came over with a warm smile to comfort me. Nanyu, from now on this is your home. I will always protect you. My father had been General Manager Lu's driver for many years and passed away in an accidental car accident that year. My mother suffered from depression and passed away 6 months later. My uncle, in order to seize my father's compensation and the house, superficially adopted me but ruthlessly kicked me out the day he got the money. Lu Ling stood up for me when I was being bullied by my uncle's family. He protected me and persuaded General Manager Lu to take me in. On my 20th birthday, Lu Ling appeared in my room in the middle of the night. I don't remember how we started. I only remember that the air that night was particularly hot. During that stickiest summer, Lu Ling and I barely went out, clinging to each other all day. Later, I don't know why Lu Ling suddenly changed. One second Lu Ling was still speaking softly to me, but after answering a phone call, he turned around and began to demean me with cold eyes. From then on, our relationship plummeted. I tried to repair it, but it was in vain. For the past few years, I have been trying to win back Lu Ling. I feel that there must be some misunderstanding between us. As long as we clear things up, Lu Ling and I can definitely go back to the way we were before. But now, I touched my throbbing, broken leg, which was covered in a thick cast. I couldn't forget the sound of it being broken that day. In the middle of the night, I often woke up in a cold sweat. And at that moment, I suddenly felt that whether there was a misunderstanding or not, it didn't seem that important anymore. I didn't expect it. The reason Lu Ling didn't pick me up outside the Shun family manor that day was because he had a car accident. Lu Ling's friend called me, his tone panicked. Nanyu, please come quickly. Brother Lu is covered in blood. He hasn't recovered yet, and the doctor told him to lie down and rest, but he won't listen and insists on looking for you. My leg hasn't healed, but my heart couldn't wait any longer. I thought Lu Ling still cares about me. Ignoring the doctor's advice, I endured the stinging pain and rushed to where Lu Ling was. My eyes were still burning and red when the waiter led me to the private room. My heart was filled with worry, doubt, and a long-lost hint of joy. However, the next second, when I saw Lu Ling sitting there in the private room, completely unharmed, looking at me with a smile, my heart seemed to freeze instantly. What made me even more desperate was that I heard Lu Ling say to the person who had ordered my leg broken, "President Shen, don't scold Yi, she's timid. I've brought Nanyu here for you. Nanyu is happy to accompany you, however you want to play." Sitting next to Lu Ling was Shen Xuanfeng, the third master of the Shen family. Although they were of the same generation, he was famous at a young age. Everyone present was afraid of his merciless methods and hypocritical kindness. Hearing Lu Ling's words, Shen Xuanfeng's eyes deepened, making it impossible to discern his emotions. After a long while, I heard Shen Xuanfeng's low and indifferent voice. "Her leg isn't healed yet. If it breaks again, she might be crippled. Lu Ling, are you sure?" Lu Ling smiled slightly, shook the glass of red wine in his hand, and said casually, "As you wish." The moment Lu Ling finished speaking, a gorgeous and tall girl walked up to me and slapped me hard across the face. "Nanyu, it's your blessing to take the blame for Yi." The person speaking was Tao Xingyue, the eldest miss of the Tao family. Also, my best friend with whom I used to share everything. We used to be so close we could wear the same pair of pants. But now she's Lin Yi's best friend. Tao Xingyue watched Shen Xuanfeng's expression, and said coquettishly as if trying to please him, "Third master, if you're still not satisfied, how about making Nanyu a cripple for life?" Hearing this, I was so scared that my face turned deathly pale. I quickly turned around to escape. But the moment I raised my foot, Tao Xinyue's bodyguard pinned me down. My tears instantly poured out. And I looked at Tao Xinyue pleadingly. Xinyue, please don't. The smile on Tao Xinyue's face momentarily froze, but it returned to normal the next second. I watched helplessly as she walked over with a flowery smile, and kicked my leg, which was in a cast hard. A sharp pain shot through me. I screamed, and passed out immediately. In a daze, I heard Tao Xinyue's voice. Bitch, what are you pretending to be pitiful for? I told you to take the blame for E. How dare you run away? Lu Ling's voice. President Shen, are you satisfied? Then, I heard an unfamiliar and cold scolding in my ear. Idiot. I felt myself being picked up. When I woke up, I found myself back in the hospital. This time, Shen Xuanfeng, with an imposing aura, was by my side. Seeing me open my eyes, he looked at me with a cold gaze. Have you given up? I trembled my lips and stubbornly looked out the window, letting tears cover my entire face. I agree, I am willing to marry you. Fortunately, no bones were broken. The cast was reset, and I was discharged from the hospital a week later. Standing in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I couldn't help but feel a surge of panic. Was I really marrying myself off so rashly? What? Regretting it? Still can't let go of Lu Ling. Shen Xuanfeng's indifferent voice came from beside me. He neatly tossed the completed forms he held into the trash can, calmly stood up, and grabbed my arm. Then let's go. Don't waste time here. I heard Lu Ling is throwing a birthday party for his little girlfriend at Shenghuang. I can take you there directly if you want. My eyes instantly turned red. Hearing news about Lu Ling still caused a stabbing pain in my heart. In the beginning, during those first few years at the Lu family, Lu Ling would also throw grand birthday parties for me, inviting all his friends from the circle, partying all night long. But later, every time my birthday came around, Lu Ling would look at me with the fiercest, coldest eyes. Once during a Cold War, he ran to my room in the middle of the night, spoke sweet words, and I was overjoyed when I hugged him, thinking we were finally making up. But he suddenly sneered and cursed me, using the most vicious language. How cheap can you get? Still want a birthday? Someone like you deserves to be born? You should just die. I'll never forget it. That night, Lu Ling dusted off his clothes as he walked out, a contemptuous look on his face. So dirty, only good enough to be played with. I wept behind him, sobbing uncontrollably. Lu Ling didn't even glance back. Snapping back from the memories, my face was pale, but I denied it with unusual determination. No, Lu Ling and I are impossible. Leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, I sat in the car, staring blankly at the red book in my hand. Shen Xuanfeng glanced at me indifferently, took the marriage certificate from my hand without expression, and put it in his pocket. Give it to me. I'll take it back to show the old man. Also, Mrs. Shen, move in with me tonight. I'm very busy, and you'll have to take the lead on the wedding arrangements. I asked Shen Xuanfeng to drop me off at the Lu residence. Nothing else was important, but my parents' belongings were still there, and I had to get them back. When I returned, the villa was quiet. Only Aunt Wang from the kitchen greeted me. The way was clear. 8 years, yet I owned so little. Madame Lu had divorced Lu Zong long ago and resided abroad year-round. Lu Zong was busy with work and rarely home. Lu Ling wouldn't pay close attention to my every need, so I had bought many things myself. After starting work, I returned all the money spent on me in the Lu family over the years to the card the Lu family gave me. As for the Lu family's kindness, the night Lu Ling asked me to take the blame for Lin Yi, Lu Ling said it himself. As long as I took the blame for Lin Yi, the Lu family's years of raising me would be wiped clean. I agreed. Now Lu Ling's second attack almost completely crippled my leg. If Shen Xuanfeng hadn't found the best orthopedic surgeon, I couldn't imagine the consequences. The last bit of affection I had for Lu Ling had completely vanished. Lu Ling and I had a terrible relationship in recent years. Only the young Lu Ling had given me some couple gifts. I didn't take any of them. I only took a few sets of clothes I bought myself. In the end, one suitcase was enough. As I walked out of the villa, I took one last look. Over the years, whenever I argued with Lu Ling, I would move out and live somewhere else. I had wanted to move out completely many times, but I couldn't let go of Lu Ling. Now, I was finally leaving. Where are you going? A cold, harsh question rang out behind me. Lu Ling had actually come back. Wasn't he throwing a birthday party for Lin Yi? Nan Yu, your temper is getting worse. You dare to threaten me by running away from home. Lu Ling walked over without saying a word, grabbed my neck, and pinned me against the openwork iron gate behind me, his face gloomy. Lu Ling, don't be impulsive. Lin Yi walked over in an expensive dress, the dazzling pink diamond on her neck setting off her delicate and moving beauty, like a noble little princess. She gently took Lu Ling's arm and coaxed in a soft voice. Sister Nanyu is probably anxious to be hospitalized after all, her leg. It's all my fault. Sister Nanyu became like this for me. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have listened to Xianyu's words and held a birthday party at this time. Everyone is waiting for us at the hotel. Never mind. Or should we send Sister Nanyu to the hospital first? Don't bother with her. It's all her own choice. We'll take the gift and leave. Lu Ling's expression improved slightly upon hearing this, but then he became agitated again, impatiently and fiercely shaking me off. If it hadn't been for the crutch supporting me, I would have almost been thrown to the ground. I leaned awkwardly against the railing. Surprisingly, I didn't feel the slightest bit of sadness. Perhaps I had already grown accustomed to Lu Ling's disgust for me over the past few years. If it had been before I broke my leg, I would have certainly teared up in heartbreak, cried my heart out, recounted our past intimacy, and then accused Lu Ling in anguish. How could he treat me like this? But now, I just remained silent, trying to keep my head down and reduce my presence as much as possible, hoping that Lu Ling and Lin Yi would leave quickly. But even so, Lu Ling still couldn't stand the sight of me. Before Wang Ma finished delivering the things, and they were about to get in the car to leave, Lu Ling suddenly raised the corners of his mouth in a malicious smile, and then kicked my dilapidated old suitcase hard. The moment the suitcase fell to the ground, the zipper instantly burst open. Before I could react, the porcelain doll inside popped out and shattered on the ground with a loud crash. That was the only thing my mother had left me. My tears instantly fell. Lu Ling obviously recognized it too. His expression changed slightly, and his eyes began to panic uncontrollably, but he still remained defiant. It's just a cheap trinket, it's broken, so it's broken. I'll buy you a whole car of them later, you. Before he could finish speaking, I slapped him hard across the face with red eyes. Lu Ling, why don't you go die? The ever-proud Lu Ling didn't go crazy after being hit, but instead trembled and reached out to hug me. Nanyu. At this moment, Lin Yi's phone suddenly rang, and Lu Ling seemed to be awakened instantly, his whole body stiffening. Got it, okay, we'll be right over. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yi carefully tugged on Lu Ling's sleeve. Brother Lu Ling, it's hard to get a taxi here. Why don't we send Sister Nanyu to the hospital first? Xian, you said your uncle's cousin just arrived at the Shenghuang Hotel too. Letting them wait for a while shouldn't be a problem. Lu Ling's face turned gloomy. He gave me a disgusted glance and turned away decisively. Let's go, let her pretend to be pitiful if she wants. After Lu Ling left, I squatted down slowly, clutching my chest, and a small patch of water quickly formed on the ground in front of me. After my parents passed away, my uncle thought it was unlucky and threw away all the things in my house. And now even my only memento is gone. How could Lu Ling bully me like this? He clearly knew. I originally wanted to find some time to say goodbye to Lu Ling properly, and then tell him the news of my marriage in person. But now, I feel like maybe it's not necessary. I have already given the wedding invitation that Shen Xuanfeng prepared in advance to Wang Ma, and also sent a message to President Lu to inform him. Shen Xuanfeng will also notify the guests on his side. Lu Ling should get the news soon. I got into the car that Shen Xuanfeng had left for me. Luckily, he had made arrangements in advance. Otherwise, a half-crippled person like me wouldn't have been able to walk down such a winding mountain road. The driver took me to the Shen family manor. The last time I came, I left full of fear and covered in injuries. This time, my heart was surprisingly calm. Shen Xuanfeng wasn't someone who didn't give me chances. Shinshi was his only younger sister, suffering from mild autism since childhood, but remarkably talented in art. Her prized painting, meticulously crafted over 3 years, was poised to shine at the upcoming international competition. But Linyi, against advice, carelessly ruined it. Shinshi had a breakdown on the spot. It was impossible for Shen Xuanfeng to let it go. He knew the real culprit was Linyi. That day he gave me 2 choices. Either break a leg, or marry him as compensation and take care of Shenxi in the future. Shen Xuanfeng said he would give his wife the respect and protection she deserved. If I married him, I only needed to get along with his family and be well behaved, and he would take care of all the trouble that Lu Ling and his friends brought me. I chose the first option, and personally broke my own leg. As it turned out, I was wrong. Even if I repaid the Lu family's kindness, Lu Ling wouldn't let me go. I know there was a misunderstanding between Lu Ling and me. I used to be like a stubborn mule, refusing to give up, following Lu Ling around, explaining and questioning, trying to find out the truth. At that time, I was trying to salvage my relationship with Lu Ling. Now all my courage has been exhausted by Lu Ling. Even if the truth is within reach, I don't want to continue to investigate. I am already married to Shen Xuanfeng. The days I spent living in the Shen family were unexpectedly comfortable. The Shen family elders lived abroad year-round, and Shenxi was surprisingly easy to get along with, as well-behaved as a kindergarten kid. She spends her days immersed in painting. I spend my days basking in the sun, healing my injury, and petting Shenxi's fat orange cat. Remembering how Shenxi almost violently attacked people before, I suddenly understood her. Who wouldn't go crazy if their hard work was maliciously destroyed? Her personality isn't as scary as the rumors said. The Shen family isn't the dangerous den, a point of no return, that the outside world makes it out to be. Lu Ling didn't remember me, someone who had lived in the Lu family for 8 years, until more than 2 months later. I thought he had already learned about my upcoming wedding. My feelings were complicated. I didn't expect that he had gone to the hospital and couldn't find me, discovering that I had already been discharged from the hospital more than 2 months ago. Hence his outburst of rage. Nanyu, what are you running around for? Don't you know that if you don't take care of your leg it will become crippled? Are you crazy? Where are you now? Get your ass back to the hospital. Don't force me to use my resources to catch you. You just wait, Nanyu. You're being so disobedient. When you come back, I'll let you know. His tone was filled with affectionate scolding and concern. It was as if we had never argued or had a cold war. He's always like this, slapping you and then giving you candy, pulling and tugging, never letting go. I'm like a kite in his hand, never able to break free from his control. But this time, I won't be soft-hearted like before. I interrupted Lu Ling's incessant nagging and softly said, Lu Ling, what I owed the Lu family has already been repaid. Please don't call me again. I won't be returning to the Lu family. Silence hung in the phone. Then came a chilling, sinister laugh. I could almost picture Lu Ling grinding his teeth. Nanyu, you'll never repay what you owe me. And I've already played you out. Do you really think anyone would want you without me? Think it through. Don't come crawling back with your tail between your legs. Even if you beg me on your knees, I'll have to really consider it. The Lu family's doors aren't for just anyone to walk through. For the past 2 months, Linyi's moments had been constantly updated. I knew all the details of her trip to a southern town with Lu Ling. In the morning, they went boating on the shimmering lake, occasionally sharing a smile. No words were needed, it surpassed 1,000. In the evening, they held hands, their steps light. The afterglow of the sunset dyed the sky red. He held her in his arms, his eyes full of doting affection. As night fell, they gazed at the stars, they drank and danced, they kissed passionately. Lu Ling was immersed in that romantic dream, without the time to consider me, perhaps lying crippled in the hospital. He could spend lavishly for Linyi, and be poetic and artistic with her. He wouldn't think of. If I hadn't agreed to marry Shen Xuanfeng, I would be lying alone and desolate in the hospital, without the orthopedic doctor Shen Xuanfeng paid a fortune to hire, without the Shen family's considerate care. Unable to work, my money wouldn't even be enough to comfortably and peacefully live in a hospital room. In that situation, how desperate would I be? Lu Ling was so smart, he couldn't possibly not know, but he was still waiting for me to lower my head and beg him. But I had long since given up expecting anything from him. Having survived that difficult journey of the heart, my heart had long since become as hard as iron. Just like now, I didn't, like before, burst into tears and tremble uncontrollably, rendered speechless by a few casual words from Lu Ling. Instead, I looked out the window and very calmly and firmly replied, Lu Ling, I used to think you were just sharp-tongued, but had a soft heart, but recently I've realized I was wrong about you. You're just a terrible person, Lu Ling. You don't deserve to be loved. I deleted and blocked Lu Ling, and he immediately bombarded me with different numbers, so I simply turned off my phone. Before, no matter where I ran, Lu Ling could always quickly find me. He would act shamelessly, use force, humiliate and threaten me. And no matter who was right or wrong, I was the one who always had to lower my head and beg for peace. But now, with the Shen family protecting me, Lu Ling can't even cause trouble in front of me. The wedding preparations were basically complete. The wedding dress, the guests, the venue. After Shen Xuanfeng gave me the manpower, he left everything to my arrangement. He even asked me if I needed to meet with President Lu and discuss the marriage arrangements in person. I refused. In all these years at the Lu family, I never thought of myself as a Lu family daughter. I knew my place very well. President Lu has always been busy, and he doesn't really have any feelings for me. He's always cared more about Lu Ling. I said on the phone that I would tell Lu Ling in person, so President Lu didn't ask any further questions and agreed to come to the wedding. But now, I don't want to say a single word to Lu Ling. On the eve of the wedding, Shen Xuanfeng gave me a file folder, leaving a sentence with a bland expression. You have one last chance to regret this. I opened the file folder and found that it contained detailed information about Lu Ling's recent years. After reading it, I covered my chest and chuckled with sobs. Sure enough, I guessed right. The misunderstanding between Lu Ling and me really came from Lin Yi and Lu Ling's uncle. I was innocent. Now that I'd found the root of the problem, as long as I saw Lu Ling, I was confident that I could explain everything clearly to him. But suddenly, I didn't want to explain. Who cares anymore? I patiently tore the document into pieces and flushed it down the toilet. Tomorrow, I will only be Shen Xuanfeng's bride. Shen Xuanfeng's parents and family members had specially flown back from abroad to attend the wedding. Their attitude towards me was very kind and friendly. They were constantly worried that my recently healed leg would still be uncomfortable, and told me to sit down and not wander around. I experienced the warmth of a family after a long time. Shen Xuanfeng had a smile on his face the entire time. When exchanging rings, I answered, I do, without hesitation. But suddenly, a commotion erupted at the entrance. No, you don't. Nanyu, you're not allowed to marry him. A mournful roar came from afar. It was Lu Ling. He still came. Shen Xuanfeng said that everyone had been helping Lin Yi hide the truth from Lu Ling, but Lu Ling still found out. Nanyu, you haven't repaid what you owe me. You can't marry. Lu Ling, his clothes disheveled as he was torn by security, struggled to reach me on the stage. You can only stay by my side for the rest of your life. You can't go anywhere else. Shen Xuanfeng must be threatening you, right? Come with me. Let's see who dares to stop you. Slap. A crisp sound echoed through the magnificent banquet hall, and President Lu's face turned ashen with anger. Lu Ling had brought a large group of bodyguards to cause trouble. If Shen Xuanfeng hadn't arranged for even more security, the wedding banquet would have been ruined for sure. Of course, President Lu didn't want to make an enemy of the ruthless Shen family. Lu Ling, who had been slapped, quickly had a bright red mark appear on his face. He stubbornly stared at President Lu, his eyes gradually filling with a crazed hatred. What right do you have to stop me? If you hadn't been having an affair with Nanyu's mother, how would my mother have been forced to leave the country? How would Nanyu and I have ended up like this today? Lu Chongqing, you are the root of all evil. What do you want me to do? My mother was forced to go abroad, and hasn't been able to see me for over a decade. How could I be at peace being with the daughter of a mistress? Do you know how much I've suffered? I live every day in a drunken stupor. Slap. President Lu's face was ugly as he slapped Lu Ling again. Shut up. Lu Ling, however, gave a miserable smile, tears falling from his face. What? Shouldn't I resent you? Should I thank you for not letting Nan Yu become my sister? President Lu's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Everyone felt that he was on the verge of exploding with rage, but just then Tao Xian Yu pulled Lin Yi forward. Uncle Lu, don't favor your mistress's daughter, it will hurt Lu Ling. Do you know that Nan Yu, like her mother, is a serial homewrecker? I grew up with my fiancé, but Nan Yu intervened and ruined everything. Otherwise, he wouldn't have broken off our engagement so decisively. Nan Yu is a morally corrupt bitch. She has harmed Yi countless times behind her back. Yi has always forgiven her. If you ask me, she should be sent to prison for a good reformation. After Tao Xian Yu finished speaking, she still felt indignant and glared at me hatefully, then said to Shen Xuanfeng, Third Master, you must have been deceived by her. Nan Yu has a terrible reputation, and doesn't deserve to marry into the Shen family at all. I think you should just kick her out. The Lu family won't take her back either. She has done so many bad things and must receive her due punishment. Lin Yi also stepped forward and gently persuaded. Uncle Lu, although Nan Yu has hurt me, I know she didn't mean to. She just wants to have Lu Ling all to herself. But you should still advise Nan Yu. Marriage is not a game. She can't just marry someone on a whim because she's angry with Lu Ling. Moreover, Third Master Shen doesn't know about Nan Yu's past. If he finds out after the marriage, then misunderstandings will inevitably arise, and the Lu family will be blamed. She looked at me gently, with a rather helpless expression. Nan Yu, fraudulent marriage is illegal, and the Shen family is not to be trifled with. If you regret it later, the Shen family won't forgive you just because you cry. There's still time to regret it now. I stared at Lin Yi steadily. She could always provoke everyone's emotions so easily. I had suffered at her hands more than once. To frame me, she would fall down the stairs, burn her cheeks, and slap herself. Lu Ling believed her every time without hesitation. She's framing you? Framing you at the cost of her life. Framing you at the cost of a girl's most prized possession. Her appearance? Nan Yu, how have you become such a habitual liar? You've disappointed me too much. I didn't care about Lin Yi, but I was always deeply hurt by Lu Ling's words. Now I don't care about Lu Ling anymore. I'm actually very curious as to why Lin Yi can't stand to see me marry into the Shen family. I took a step forward and looked at her with a sneer. Do you remember the first time we met? You spilled wine on Tao Xian Yu's dress as a waitress and had to pay tens of thousands in compensation? I helped you out of that situation so you could get away. Looking at it now, I really helped the wrong person. You're a real ingrate, Lin Yi. Lin Yi was stunned for a moment, not even reacting before Tao Xinyue angrily rushed over to hit me again. That's my dress. What does it have to do with you? Shen Xuanfeng beside me was quick-witted and grabbed Tao Xinyue's wrist, forcefully throwing her away. Taking advantage of Tao Xinyue's dazed state, I slapped her once, then again, and on the third slap, Tao Xinyue lost her balance and fell to the ground. I shook my stinging hand, looking down condescendingly at Tao Xinyue, who was still shocked on the ground. Tao Xinyue, we are no longer friends, you have no right to hit me. From now on, if you hit me once, I will return it with 10 slaps. If you don't believe me, you can try. Tao Xinyue's face immediately twisted with anger as she screamed and cursed. Bitch, you dare to hit me? You're so vicious, you still want to be friends with me? Yi is a million times better than you. I will never forgive you. It's useless even if you're jealous of us. I scoffed, looking at her speechlessly. Our friendship was long ago exhausted by you. What are you thinking? As a friend, you didn't believe me but instead insulted and hurt me. Do you think I would ever turn back? Never. I don't care for such rotten, stinking friendship. Even if the misunderstanding is cleared up one day, I will never forgive you. Tao Xinyue's face paled as she looked at me in disbelief. Lu Ling was also pale. He trembled and asked me, Nan Yu, what do you mean? What misunderstanding? Between us? Shen Xuanfeng looked impatiently at the farce before him, his eyes glancing at the pale-faced Xiao Lu beside him. Xiao Lu, things have come to this, are you still going to hide it? With an indifferent expression, Shen Xuanfeng politely escorted the disconsolate Lu Ling out of the banquet hall. The wedding banquet continued, and the guests and host enjoyed themselves. Lu Ling would never have imagined that all the misunderstandings originated with a lie from Lin Yi, then were amplified by his mother, who was trying to cover up the truth from abroad, and finally, were reinforced by falsified evidence from his uncle, who had been cast aside by the Lu family for years, and was now trying to latch on again. It formed a perfect closed loop. It turned out that President Lu divorced his wife because he caught her bringing her lover home, and exposed her and her lover's plot to murder him for his money. After the scheme was exposed, Madame Lu, unwilling to go to jail, desperately pleaded, even going so far as to hold Lu Ling and threaten to jump from the roof. For the sake of Lu Ling's reputation and future, President Lu had no choice but to bury the truth and swallow the bitter fruit. He banished Madame Lu abroad. Lin Yi's mother, who worked odd jobs like my driver father, happened to learn some of the inside story. Knowing that President Lu would never reveal the truth no matter what, she exploited this loophole to sow discord between Lu Ling and me. Actually, the way to break this situation was simple. All Lu Ling had to do was ask President Lu. Even if President Lu needed to protect Lu Ling's reputation, he wouldn't mind Lu Ling himself knowing the inside story. Or he could ask me. I didn't know the details of President Lu's divorce, but I knew that Madame Lu was at fault. Unfortunately, Lu Ling believed everything and instead treated Lin Yi as a treasure. When I learned the truth, I only felt it was absurd. How ridiculous. But I had already escaped the mire and started a new life. That night, I shared a room with Shen Xuanfeng for the first time. He returned drunk, his eyes glazed and soft, looking unusually less aloof. That's great, I finally got you. What? I didn't hear him clearly, he was muttering to himself. Shen Xuanfeng suddenly leaned onto me, like a limp mudfish. Nanyu. Do you mind? I was stunned for a moment. Mind what? Was it those thoughtless words Lu Ling said during the day? Nanyu, I know I was wrong. I misunderstood you. I'll make it up to you in the future. Please forgive me, okay? We've known each other since childhood, been together for 8 years. I've liked you for a long time. You know me, I don't have bad intentions. I just have a bad temper. I only said I'd marry Lin Yi to deceive you. I just wanted you to feel my pain, to make you reflect. I've never had anyone else. The person in my heart has always been you. Shen Xuanfeng is not a good person at all. His sister, Shen Shi, is a psychotic murderer, who has been hurting people since she was little. Not only does Shen Xuanfeng not stop her, he always covers for her. You are alone with no family. In the future, Shen Xuanfeng can use money to settle things with others, and he can also settle you. His own family doesn't want to live with him and his sister. What makes you think he'll change for you? Nanyu, come back to me, okay? We can definitely go back to the way we were before. Lu Ling's eyes were red, and he gazed at me sorrowfully, tears streaming down his face. My heart was still touched by him. But only a little. Like a wisp of smoke, it would dissipate with a gentle breeze. If Lu Ling had come earlier, based on my past stubbornness towards him, I would definitely have gone with him. But he came too late. Shen Xuanfeng sighed comfortably, interrupting my thoughts. I then realized that I was unconsciously stroking Shen Xuanfeng's head. I must have gotten used to petting Big Fat Orange. Taking advantage of the fact that he hadn't reacted yet, I quickly withdrew my hand. I don't mind. 3 men make a tiger. I only believe what my heart feels. Shen Xuanfeng, you are a very good person. He, as promised, gave me enough respect and protection. He was a business tycoon feared by others, yet I felt nurtured by his gentle care. What? I mean, do you mind that I'm 5 years older than you?